Welcome to the AFoOL podcast. It's episode 47. And tonight we're going to talk about parachutes and skydiving, how you really don't need one unless you want to do it again.
What's up, guys? Mardigrasman23 here, and it is time for another AFoOL podcast. And tonight we have a special guest, or I should say today, because you'll see this today. So we are in Joey's. He's above me, so I can't get it wrong. We are in Joey's basement. That's BrickTrains, aka Joey. That's Jabo.
All messed up.
That's Jabo. He's always here. And in the corner over there is our special guest, all the way from the Lego house. That is Kim, aka EndTalk.
Yeah.
How you doing, guys?
Pretty good.
Welcome.
It's
Thanks.
nice to have a fellow AFoOL here.
It's nice to be with fellow AFoOLs.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Well, we're glad to have you here. So, yeah, you just came back from Europe, didn't you?
I did.
Good trip?
It was a fantastic trip. I'm very lucky that I got to go there again. We're gonna finally go to somewhere after COVID, and we're trying to figure out where. And I said, I want to go back to the Lego house. And my wife said, well, okay, but let's figure out where else we can go. So we went to Denmark. We went to Amsterdam, and we where else did we go? I'm losing my mind, but we traveled around just right there mostly. And we started with the Lego house in Billund.
Oh, so you had to carry around all the stuff you bought with you the rest of the trip.
Yeah, and I was thinking, well, maybe I can buy some stuff and mail it back, because when I did the Lego tour in either 2017 or 2018, and when you do that, you buy stuff at the employee store and they'll mail it for you, which is really cool. And
That's
so
nice.
we were like, well, maybe they'll just ship it for us again. And no, they're not shipping anything for anybody. And then I spent one afternoon driving all over Vejle, which is the next big town over from Billund, looking for like a FedEx. And I found one, but they didn't ship from there. It was just like where the truck's parked.
Oh. Sounds like
So I ended up buying another suitcase.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I was gonna say you should have brought an empty carry-on.
Yeah.
Should have.
So when is it a walk up and take the tour, or do you have to schedule that months in advance?
For the actual tour, you apply. It's once a year they make a call. I think it's on the Lego website, but you got to pay attention and you apply for it. You have to fill out a form, say who you are, even tell your media stuff then they let you know if you get to go on the inside tour or not. And I applied for 4 years, and in my 4th year, they chose me. And it's not like winning the lottery, because you have to pay thousands of dollars.
right.
You have to pay for your ticket over. I think it's around the $2,000 tour. Might be slightly more than that. You do get 2 nights at the Legoland Hotel, and you get to go to Legoland. And it is something, if you can afford it. It was great. I mean, I can't believe Jabo hasn't done it.
Well, I'm a little disheartened right now because you just taught me something. I didn't know. I thought that if you had the money and you signed up and there were spots available, you got to go. But you're saying they can disallow you, basically.
They choose
I
who
have a feeling I'm
goes.
never going to be going now.
They choose who goes, and they like ours was mostly grown-ups. There were a few kids that were all like 15 or 16. The week before us had a lot of kids that were slightly younger. I think the kids at least have to be 12 to go.
Yeah.
But they were so the groups seem to be made up, like they try to make it somewhat logical so that people have a good time on the trip.
How often do they do it? Is it like a week, once a week, all year
Four
long?
4 times a week. The year I did it, they did 4 times that year.
Oh, okay.
And they did it when I did it, it's whatever year the Lego house opened, because we were the first people to get to do some of the tour in the Lego house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned from some of the like the exclusive sets you get, they're numbered, right?
Yeah.
What number?
There were 35 on my tour. And some days I play with this. This is mine. My wife's is behind me, because if you take a partner who doesn't really like Lego, she or he gets one too. So that's not I mean, you have to pay for them too.
Right.
But so let's see if I can get this in. Minus 23 of 35.
Yeah.
And my year was the year that they also like made one like this after that, but not
Wait
exactly.
a minute. So you said there was 35 people on your tour?
Yes, but then there were 3 other tours that had around 35 or 40 people.
So there's 1 through 35, 3 or 4 times?
Yes.
Yeah. So 160. Now, but my box, there's only 35 in my box. Look at my box.
And it's got a unique box.
Let's get the picture.
Oh, there you go.
I can't work this backwards camera.
Yeah, I know. See, it's tricky. It's tricky.
That's me. And my wife is next to me. And that's all the people I had that fantastic experience with.
Wow. I never knew that. I never knew it was unique. I thought they were just numbered, 1 to however many.
No, it's the people on the tour. And I still have a Facebook group with all these people. We don't talk that often, but the people I was on that trip with, we still occasionally. And it just fantastic trip. I can't. That was fun. Yeah, we do have the 2, and you get other things like little inside tour minifigures, and you get some of the people you meet have their minifigures. And I don't have all that stuff out because I had to have my Lego room empty, believe it or not, while we were in Europe. Because we rented our house out, which is why
they helped pay for it.
Which is why because we had the Masters golf tournament in Augusta, Georgia, and we rented this is why we got to go to Europe. We rented our house out, so I had to empty the house of my valuables, which for me was my Lego.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
No.
I left my jewelry because that's not worth anything. But we always tell the kids, if Kim dies, don't sell her Lego.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say you could talk to people like BrickTsar lives in Atlanta.
Yeah. We've had those same discussions. It's like,
Here's the list of people to call.
Yes.
And I said they will help you.
They will help you and treat them well.
Yeah.
So the inside tour is obviously just a once in a lifetime thing. But what about the Lego house? How impressive is it to make that trip to Europe to go see it for somebody like me, lives in the middle of the United States?
Yeah, I really like. I was watching The Plastic Architect one day, and she talked about there's a thing called Lego tourism. I think she's right. I think I do Lego tourism. We like to travel, and if I can ever tie it to a Lego thing, that's always fun for me. So doing this, that's part of it, just that fun of it. But I would have enjoyed it it would have been more fun had I never been there, but it was still fun. And I can imagine going back and taking my grandsons because it's really fun for kids. I mean, we played everything. You can fight snowmobiles against each other. You can make a slow motion video thing. You can make Lego characters and then feed them up into this computer thing and they dance around. I'm 56 years old. It's not probably as fun for me as it is for a 4-year-old, but it's still pretty fascinating. And the basement is what I missed the first time because we hadn't thought we left at noon when we should have stayed all day on the last day.
Yeah.
And that you guys would love. I was down there.
I appreciate you taking the pictures down there.
Yeah.
You saw how I touched it and spun around the boxes. Yeah. I could imagine, and I kept thinking, I should have made a list of things I should have looked up. Because I always watch the AFoOL podcast. And you guys always will talk about, I wonder if that box does that. And if it was a box that opened, you could open the box to the flip box.
Oh, wow.
So I know you guys, if you guys could get all your partners to go with, or you could just leave them and go with the three of them. I know they'd rather go with you. That would be a really cool trip. You'd be down there for hours.
Did you happen to go down the first row like Jabba wants to do?
Oh, that's the vault. She's talking about that's the vault.
That's the vault. Yeah, you're talking about the basement. Yeah.
So the basements you don't get to see. You don't get to touch the actual ones.
But when you went on the inside tour, did they take you in the vault?
They did, and it's so cool. You get to do that windy thing and the you open up, and I did look on the first shelf, but then I didn't know you guys wanted the first shelf, or I would have taken a photo. I was excited to see. Actually, I was excited to see the Taj Mahals before the second one came out. I looked at all the Fabulan, and I did take pictures of Fabulan because you'd already made me a Fabulan addict. It's all your fault. But, so
You're welcome.
Thank you. I love them. So I spent a lot of time looking at those, and we were like little kids, and only a few of us could be down there at a time, even though we were 35. They'd have us, I think, down in groups of 7, and my wife was just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, she took pictures of me. I was like, look at this one. This is everybody loves the monorail. Here's the monorail. And lots of us were like,
it sounds like my wife. That would be my wife.
More Lego.
I would probably be the most boring person down there because I would just want to be on the first row.
Well, the first whatever 10 rows you already got a copy of.
Yeah. It'd be like being in your basement. Maybe you should sell tours of your basement.
That's what I need to do. I need to get the little spinny things and have the shelves go together and have tours and charge people.
People would pay.
I actually saw a TikTok where there's a library that has bookshelves with those windy, just like the shelves.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to run through the shelf while somebody's turning it.
Looks like a movie.
Yeah, so they don't get squashed before they get to the other end.
Indiana Jones type thing.
I've always been amazed that they let you down there. I mean, this is their archive, and that's a lot of handling of those boxes, especially the employees who seem to have ready access to it.
Yeah. And we didn't have gloves. They really I'm in charge of a college, and part of my college is the history faculty, and the history faculty would be outraged that I wasn't wearing gloves to touch these artifacts.
Yeah, well, and they are some of those are 40, 50 years old. They are they're
even though that's
older.
Yeah.
Even though that's climate controlled, it's down in underground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I would think, like, how we've had boxes of stuff that we've bought that are 60 years old, 50, 60 years old, that are brittle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, even if it's new, haven't been opened, I imagine some of those could be brittle, could be fragile.
Mm-hmm.
But my understanding is that vault that they take the public to is not the one that the employees use. I think there's another vault.
I've heard that there are 2. But yeah, I couldn't tell you which one's which. But yeah, I've heard that there was a second one that was not visible to the public.
So when you were in the basement showing especially the trains, those look like pristine. They look like brand new, all of them.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
They look fantastic. I mean, it was.
What? I know the Lego house is new, but was there dust on anything in there?
No, and they're amazing. It's amazingly well kept. And I could have gone back by myself Monday. My wife was doing something, but they were closed on Monday, and they were closed for cleaning.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's how they keep all the dust off.
Yeah, I was bummed I couldn't,
And they have a fairly extensive city in there with display that I can't imagine would be horrible to dust.
Yeah.
That's.
But it's all glued, so.
It is. It makes it a little easier.
I guess that's true.
So going back a second time, so you're more familiar with not only the Lego place, but the city. Did you do anything else like that's outside? Because I've heard of this yard sale type market they have over there. Is that something that's open or? No,
that's closed, and it closed from what I can tell from reading online. And I think Robin Hall, that's his last name, right? And he's great. He seems like a great guy. I've never actually met him. I should meet him sometime when I go to England. I think he's posted too, or some other people posted that's actually closed. And I was really disappointed. Because I was hoping to do this trip earlier before COVID, and I kept saying, "Hey, let's look the flea markets or their antique shops." And part of it was COVID. We didn't come across anything like that because I really wanted to come across something where, or what they call over there boot sale, something where I could get that. But no,
So what's a boot?
A trunk.
Okay, so trunk.
So selling, it's like a yard sale, selling stuff out of the trunk of their cars.
So everybody brings their car. They have stuff in the back of the car. So to hear a boot on a car is like somebody didn't pay their.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm always amazed that every time I've ever gone to a flea market or yard sale or whatever, I never find, maybe occasionally find a little something, but I never find the
Me
stuff.
neither.
But you're like the king of dirt cheap and stuff, finding stuff there. And I never find anything at those places either. I just have the worst luck, I guess. But you see people on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, they come up with these cheap Aaron bricks. I mean, he's always coming up with stuff that seems like he's always. It's like, wow, where are we finding this
every
stuff?
week? He's filling up his car.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and his last one, I was like, what is someone like stealing and selling this stuff? But he said, I mean, because you start thinking, how can they have that many sets that they're selling for half price? But he said that somebody bought a pallet, and that's how they got them.
Oh.
A pallet of return material.
We have a guy in our Facebook group that he works over, I guess, the graveyard shift. So when he gets off in the mornings, he'll drive for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then he'll spend half the day driving and driving back. And he actually watches our AFoOL podcast.
Okay. Hey, thanks for watching.
He's the king in our group. He said they named him. His name's Jason. So shout out, Jason. But yeah, he does a lot of that. But he hits all the stores, Walmart's. He's the one who told me about that Winn-Dixie deal.
Mm.
Yeah.
See, before
He's
YouTube,
actually the one who
it was easier.
I'm sorry. He also sent me he's the one who sent me the link for you for that Samsonite box.
Okay.
You ever seen that before?
I have one.
That one?
Yeah. It looks like that. It's got those stripes on it. It's cardboard.
Yeah.
It looks like a bulk box.
Yeah, it's probably one of those Sears bulk box.
I was gonna say, I think it's a Sears exclusive, or one of the catalog exclusives. JCPenney also sold like that too.
I was going to comment on the post and say, yeah, it's not worth nothing. I'll take it from you.
Yeah. Well, the box literally is the only thing worth it.
Yeah, that's what I told him.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it used to be a lot easier to get deals even at Walmart.
Yeah, I know.
I remember. So Target, after the holidays, they were slower about putting things on clearance, but then you'd go in on Wednesday and see if they marked it down. If they didn't, you didn't look again until the next Wednesday, because they would only mark it down on Wednesday at that time. And I remember I'd have like 7 or 8 Target stores that I'd go to every Wednesday and see. And I remember going in there and they had the Star Wars sets, the UCS X-Wing fighter, the TIE, whatever that thing, TIE Interceptor, and the Millennium Falcon, which were all $100 sets. They were all $25. And the ladies were just scanning them while I was standing there. And I was like, oh, I better go get a buggy. Buggy, for those in the UK, that's
that one.
Shopping cart.
That one of those when you check out, you're sticker shock.
Yeah, you can't believe it.
But, oh my goodness, how much of this?
Yeah, and I bought every single thing they had. Yeah,
and it doesn't. It seems a lot harder now to find anything like that. It's just deals are hard to.
There's a lot of us out there now.
They've also changed their clearance structure. Now they'll mark it down and leave it on the aisle as long as they can, and then they'll move it to the clearance aisle, and it's really
you never know when they're going to do it. But so, question for y'all. So, JB's Brick Kiln found Lego in the dumpster, literally in the dumpster. It was a bunch of friends' stuff. And my daughter threw away Bionicle set because she didn't think it was worth anything. So not everybody thinks about Lego like we do.
Nope.
So,
true.
My mom was always, if I didn't play with my toys, my mom threw them out.
Right.
Do you think there's a lot of that going on?
Well, I think there's a lot of selling in garage sales that we just don't never see because we don't hit garage sales half the day every Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think Yeah, I don't think everybody in the world is as versed on Lego value as especially us. So I do believe there's some that go. A friend of mine texted me, last 2 summers, well, before the pandemic, and said, "Hey, I just found a bag of Lego. Do you want it?" I was, well, I don't know how much they want. Well, they want like $50 for it. I was like, ooh, that's a lot. But it was like a 25-pound bag. It was one of those vacuum bags.
Oh.
It was full. I said, okay, go ahead and get it. But I didn't find that. But yeah, I think there's a lot of that stuff that just gets out in yard sales and gets thrown away because people don't know. Oh, my parents would have been, did you lose any of the pieces? Are all the pieces there? Maybe. Well, if you don't have all the pieces, then it's not good anymore. Throw it away. Like,
Yeah.
Well, my brother, go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead.
I think a lot of people think it's worth so much though that it's sold even
Yeah.
too. It's
You go to
too,
the other extreme.
you go to the
yeah,
other
it's priced
extreme.
way
Yes.
too high.
Yeah.
Yes. That you can definitely find a person who thinks well, you see that on eBay too a lot.
Yeah.
That box that the Samsonite set that you were showing me, Earl, that somebody will put that on eBay and they'll want right off the bat, they're going to want $100 just starting out. I'm like,
I remember when I first discovered the jumbo bricks, I was trying to buy them and they were expensive. They're so abundant. But I'll still see somebody trying to sell one of the box sets for like $1,000.
yeah.
I'm like, they're abundant.
Well,
they're everywhere.
The thing that blows my mind is when new set releases are on eBay for more than you can buy them at Walmart or Lego.
Right.
And
That
people are
happens on
buying
Goodwill.
them. And
Yeah,
people
Goodwill will have stuff that's more than
and
what you can
people
buy.
buy it.
I hope nobody, but yeah, somebody's doing it. I guess.
I guess if you live in an area where you can't get something. So
Well.
Kim, I got a question for you. Talking about finding deals and buying stuff. So you got into Fabuland several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still look for Fabuland stuff? And how does it compare to when you first started acquiring your massive collection?
I do, and I do like when I buy stuff, especially if I buy something from Germany or the Netherlands, something I'll look to see what characters they have, but they are more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, a lot of my stuff is still packed up, but the houses and things, I used to never want to pay over $6 for those, and it's really hard to find one for under. I had some like ideas, and eBay is really ridiculous what they'll charge for the characters. Yeah, it's a lot more, and I didn't actually buy sets. I bought pieces, and then I'm able to I probably have many of the sets. And when there was one show, you weren't at it in Philadelphia, where I had almost all the sets put together in my display as part of my display. Like I had a town and had all of them. But I usually just take them and use them for pieces to do something else.
Yeah. Have you tried to get all of the different characters?
It's hard to find a list. I should probably get Robin Hall to make sure I know what the list is.
Yeah.
But I have at least one of every character, but then there's like the eyes are different.
Yeah. Yeah. Those subtle differences in Lego printing that just like drive you crazy sometimes.
So did they do that on purpose, or were those misprints, or is it both? Is there subtle differences in the characters?
It's just different printing on a lot of them. They look like the same character, but there'll be
like one set may be different than another.
Like the bulldog or the panda, you think you got the same one. You're like, oh, it's a different eye that's highlighted.
Yeah, and I think there was a year that they changed them. I'm not going to know which.
So that's the only thing different. It's not like a different costume or a different uniform. It's just different eyes.
It could be something different on their head. The lion, there's a couple of different versions of him. The guy that has the gold chains.
Yeah. I got the
Leo in it.
Yeah.
One has the gold chain. And
that guy.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Marvel, there'll be 14 different versions of pick a guy.
So I was into the castle, the Black Falcons, early on, and I never ever noticed till Atlanta Brick Company was talking about in one of their videos. They were talking about I think it was one we were talking about the rare minifigures or rare sets, and he showed the Black Falcon with the bird looking one way versus the other way, and it is looking. So if it's looking to the figures left, I think I can't even. In my left, so the figure's right. If the bird's looking to the figures right, and you're looking at them, it's to the left. That if the head's looking that way, I think it's more rare.
Wow.
They look exactly the same otherwise.
And was that just a different set or different time? Or different
No,
run?
because the same set could have
Either or.
Either or, yeah.
These
see, look at the eyes.
Yeah.
How do I do this?
There you go.
Bring your right hand down a little bit.
Yeah. Do I know what my right is with this?
I don't know.
There you go.
Your other right. There you go. Yes,
there you go.
There you go.
So they otherwise look the same, but those are the one's more black solid, and the other has the white at the top.
Wow.
And it's not that it's worn out; it's just that's the way it's printed.
No, and otherwise they're the same.
Huh.
And it started at a certain year, I think, is when they started changing. Sometime.
Babylon was out for about
10 years.
10 years.
When it's 79 to 89?
Something like that, yeah.
Wow.
So I have a question for you, Kim. You made all the different color Mini Coopers, didn't you?
Yeah, one of the first things I did.
So did you Bricklink those?
I did.
So how did you Bricklink all the different colors? Did you painstakingly go in and? Okay, I was just wondering if there was some kind of cheat code you had.
No trick. Those are still. That's.
Oh, you still got them built?
There, see them up there on the top shelf.
Yeah, I see.
Oh yeah, I see the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, weekend. Yeah.
But it's one of those things I've kept.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of the most common questions I get asked is about wanted lists. Is there a quick way to remove things from your wanted list after you buy them? And I was like, I just do it all manually, one at a time.
Yeah, that's what I do manually. But there is a way.
There definitely is a way. There you can go in the list of what you've bought, and there's a way to click and say, take these off my wanted list, essentially. But it makes me nervous.
Yeah. So when I was doing the brick model railroader stuff, I had to create, because they don't have an XML file that you can upload. So I had to create it. So I went through and added all the parts to a wanted list. I made the mistake of not saving the wanted list, because what I was doing is I was deleting them as I bought them. And I was like, man, I should have saved this wanted list, because then I wanted to build if I wanted to build the same thing in a different color, it'd be easy to switch it. Yeah.
Well, you could have went to your bought. Well, you buy so many though, you probably had trouble finding certain through your orders.
Yeah.
You have to duplicate your wanted list, especially something like Brick Model Railroader, or you're going to end up doing the thing. Dakota got me today. He pulled the Challenger boxcar, the only Brick Model Railroader one I built, which was the Brick Road version. He wanted to put that on the track and play with it, and I discouraged it and tried to talk him out of it because it was different size, and I kept telling him it was going to hit some of the buildings. But then I said, well, we don't have a train that's the right size. We don't have an 8-wide train, and kept trying to talk to a 5-year-old sometimes, explain these. But I told him, I said, they haven't made one yet, and he said, well, why haven't they? I said, well, I don't know, but you might ask Jabbo. So have you heard anything?
No. No, I've reached out and not got a response.
Yikes!
Which it concerns me.
Yikes!
Because I've gone onto the website and asked them. I can't respond. I can't ask them on their YouTube channel because they haven't made a video in a while and they don't have comments.
Yeah.
And I've sent a message on Instagram and I haven't got a response. And I'm like, so then I reached out to Glenn,
right,
who doesn't work with them anymore, and he responded right away, and he says, I don't have anything to do with it. And he said that it's his understanding they still are going to finish the project. So I just think the COVID and everything hit them, but I just wish they would communicate, like, because the website hasn't been updated in a while since like Traintober. That concerns me because I don't think anybody's being dishonest or trying to rip people off. I just think it's gotten.
That was a very big project that they tried to take on, and they have limited people resources. So
I wish I could help them. I paid a lot of money, and that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So we have Kim got to pick our vault set today for this episode.
Oh, yes.
And this is one that I learned about when doing our bracket. I had never seen this before.
Me neither. This thing looks huge.
So Kim has put it together, or you've Bricklinked it together, right?
Yeah.
The dragon.
Did you get all the pieces already?
I have. That's
The
why I
dragon
can bring it
pretty-
up.
You got
Dragon's
it.
pretty pricey,
Woo!
Yeah,
Is it gonna stop doing that?
it's a lot of overseas, and I probably been working on a little over a year. And some of the orders took forever during COVID, as you know. And some of the things that are the hardest, I don't know if I should say that, but are like there's some gold. Like if I'm a camera again. Like and they're cool. It's super cool, but that's gold.
Oh wow!
And so,
how many are in that set with that?
Only one is totally gold. Some others have black and gold, and there's 6 minifigures. Of course, the dragon itself, which you may or may this I had.
Oh, look at that!
Before
I had no idea it was that big.
That's huge.
And this how small it looks compared to the castle.
I know.
Yeah, it's humongous. And I was telling Joey that I don't know when I first heard about it. It might have been on your guys' countdown, but then I was looking at Goodwill, and I saw I was actually looking for my grandson just to buy some Duplo stuff and trying to find some more cars from the movie Cars Duplo. Right. And I saw something that was just a messy box, and it looked like it had some pieces from the castle set that were black and stuff. So I bought it, and and it got me started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you found that near where you live, or?
No, the online one.
Oh, okay.
You know how you go, and you try, and most of the time that doesn't work out for me.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that, because I did mention this set. It was on my wanted list a year or two ago. It was like top 10 wanted sets, and I never made any progress, not even getting any of the common pieces.
Well, I think you would probably have to start with the dragon.
I would.
You can actually the dragon. You could, but the dragons you see on eBay, a lot of people sell the dragons, and there seem to be more dragons around because maybe somehow they stuck around.
There's at least, I think there's 2 other versions, like different colors.
Well, there's another castle.
There's 2 other castle sets at least.
Right.
From different.
One of them has the red dragon, or I think maroon or something like that.
Yeah, it was dark red, I believe.
They're from different sets.
Right.
It's still in bubble wrap.
Oh, you got some dragons. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
go for the other ones.
This one's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's multicolored. Yeah.
And I haven't shown my grandson. I was telling Joey, they have so much fun playing with this, but I haven't shared yet.
Oh, okay.
Still grandma's toys.
Yeah. Well, I would think the black is not a common Duplo color. I mean, in those castle walls, there's a lot of castle walls. I could see there being a lot of unique pieces to this set.
They're the castle walls. They're actually, those are in more than one set.
Okay.
The 2x2 black aren't bad, but some of the bigger plates are a little harder. And then this was, I was complaining to you guys online. When you're building it, the instructions show several, what would that be? 4x4 reddish brown plates.
Right.
But the parts list only show 2x4.
2x4.
Do you think the line just doesn't show up on the instructions? You're using online instructions. You didn't find the printed version, did you?
No, I didn't. The only ones I could find were really expensive.
So if you had to guess when you put that thing together, what's the dimensions? How wide by how deep?
I don't know, and I don't have it exactly put together, but I can show you.
Oh,
my!
wow.
It's not even finished. It's that big.
It's not put together because it won't fit on the table.
It won't fit on
Wow.
But that just
table.
gives you, and this light's just not helping.
It's all right.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a little better. But yeah, like even look at how big that is. Like here's a Duplo. I mean, here's a Fabuland,
Yeah.
and look at how big that thing is.
Wow.
I mean, it's 380 pieces, and there's some big pieces in there.
Yeah, if I can, this is kind of one side of it. It's not extremely stable because some of it's like. But
Is it sectional? It's not all. Is it when you're done? Is it all going to be connected?
no,
Oh,
I have it. The connected parts are connected. So when you're building the walls, you're using like this part next to this part, and there's like gaps. So that was kind of disappointing.
Oh, I did not know that.
Maybe I'll build a mock with these sets eventually.
Yeah.
But you can't see what I'm doing. I love that this drawbridge goes up and down.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. Wow. And the flag, the details are cool. These cost more than you'd think.
The flames?
Yeah.
Any of these? Oh, here we go. Javel's already looking.
Yeah. And I just put it. I knew I was going to be on with you guys, so I actually had a storage unit. I got it out of the storage unit and put it together.
I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
This week.
So,
these pieces are kind of cool. The bridge pieces.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually can find those. They're, I guess, they're.
Wow.
They're on printing on one side. So, normally when I'm piecing together something, I say, okay, I'm going to get all these common parts out of the way because a lot of times that's the bulk as far as the volume of the set. And but when I looked at the parts list, it's like 23 2x4 black bricks. I'm like, I can't even find that.
No, the first thing I did is I went through all the Duplo I owned, and I'd been buying, at Christmas times when they had the Duplo sets from years ago. I had a bunch of those, and I'd opened a bunch. And our kid, we play with them. But I went through all of those and found all the pieces. Just like you, I don't have a Bricklink store, but I have Lego, so I started that way. And then these pieces are really cool. And you can find them, not much in the United States, but there's probably like 18 of one of those, 18.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Lots of those.
And with it being such large pieces, say you found a seller that had a bunch of them, they're probably going to be $30, $40 just to ship it to you.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one of the reasons I had some parts for your tipper truck army, because I went to Germany, so I was like, I'm here, I might as well pick up some tipper truck parts.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the mistake I always make when I'm buying overseas is I don't go through the store enough, because I can't tell you how many times I've bought from somebody, get the package, and then I realize they had other stuff. When I go back to look for another thing, I was like, oh, I should have waited. But sometimes if you don't wait, the stuff sells. I mean, if you do wait, the stuff.
If you do wait, yeah.
No, I did the same thing with you think, and somebody would say you'd buy a bunch of stuff, and you'd be like, okay, I'm buying it at this store, it's cheaper, and then you'd be done, and then somebody would text you and say, I couldn't find 2 of these. It's like,
oh yes,
I could have bought them at that shop.
Yeah.
It
happens a lot more, and I'm always patient with people. I try not to let it bother me, but that's why with my own store, the same thing will happen, but I will get the pieces. If all possible. Very rarely do I have to say I couldn't find it.
And I'm always, I'm understanding. I get that, but
yeah.
I had to open up a big set the other day just to get a couple little pieces out, because and then turn around and find them a week later. In the wrong drawer. And it's like
Julian ordered those Atlantis glasses.
Yep.
And I was like, he ordered like 2 of them and only had 1. I'm like, what happened here? So I went and opened another set.
So since we're talking about Bricklink, I got an odd one. So I'm doing the Freedom Train. So I've been buying a lot of bulk parts, and a lot of times it's just like, hey, I need 20 of these, and I want them new, and who's got the cheapest price, right? So I hit a store that I had purchased from before, didn't think nothing about it. As soon as I went to put them in the store, it said, no, they put you on their block list. I'm like, what did I do? So I go back and I look at the order. I had 2 orders in that store. One had already fallen off. The other one was fine, good feedback and stuff. But it didn't. I had no. So I started looking at this guy because he, at this point, now has several negative feedbacks, and he has a line in his. Let me see if I can read it. In his terms of service that says, I will cancel orders made by other stores if you buy me out in pieces. I am not your store supplier. So I guess he realized I had a store, and because he'd already given me feedback, was good. He gave me good feedback, and the thing went somewhere afterwards. He decided to ban me from his store.
He didn't bother to check if you even had the parts listed in your store.
I don't know. Yeah, probably not. He just saw that I had a store.
Yeah.
Well, and the parts that I bought were the ones for the house that we took to BrickTsar, Alabama.
Yeah.
Because there were a bunch of basic red, white, and blue parts. And I just went and bought whoever had them the cheapest. I don't know if I think I looked at my store that I didn't have any, but
I know we've talked about like drop shippers and how I don't like shipping to people if it's not the same address, but a lot of those people that do it from Bricklink know how to make the PayPal and the Bricklink address match, so it's not a problem. But why on earth would you have a store and you don't want people to buy from you? What do you think businesses do? What do you think Walmart does? They buy product from somebody else and then they sell it. They don't care if a business buys it. This is the dumbest guy. This is why he's getting negative. He needs to get a store closed.
Yeah, well, he will eventually from negative feedback. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
and that's no. You think I would have known that, right?
I don't want your money.
It's exactly what I thought. Yeah.
Why do you even have a store if you don't want to sell it?
Attention, Bricklink shoppers. If you want to buy out my entire store, I am all for it. I don't care how long. I'll just box everything up and give you I'll give you all of the stack-ons too.
There you go.
And you can have a tour of the basement.
You got to buy them all.
I opened the stack-on drawer today, and it has the warranty guarantees paper in it. You think that's still good? You think that's still good?
My stack-on cracked.
Oh, we have almost got to the last row over here. We're actually in the last stack on that has not been filled. This is the last group that I bought, and we're down to I'm missing one drawer. I know it was there when I bought them, so I don't know, it's somewhere. But my wife, she already knows. She said, "Oh, you're going to end up buying a whole other thing just to get that drawer, aren't you?"
And then that would be missing one.
Well, I've been looking on eBay for replacement drawers. So it's an Acromills. I think I could actually contact Acromills and get one, but it'd be just like those parts. As soon as it shows up to the house, Dakota will show up with it. Hey, look, I found this for you.
Yeah, I've taken it when I'll delete a part from my store or put it in stockroom, especially when Jacob was building stuff, and I'll just take the whole drawer out. Mm-hmm. But I have done it where I've set it and forgot about it and then found it later.
I have a feeling that's what's happened is that, especially with building the
Freedom Train.
Yeah, I've probably put it in some tub, set it with some parts, and then, at some point I just kind of wholesale start putting things back and then stuffing them under. That's probably sitting in a shoebox under the layout somewhere. And
what do we call those things?
Those are tubs of regret or something. Yeah. There is a lot of those under the layout.
So Kim, I guess you've had an opportunity to clean your room a couple of times. If you had to remove everything for renting the place out.
Yeah, well, I was able to, the shelves are they're curated is what we would say. So I left some of the Lego in here. Okay. So somebody, and who knows who they were renting, because we had a company essentially that rented out the house. I think different people were in and out. Very weird kind of thing, actually, but it was very clean when we got back and everything. So somebody probably walked in here and thought, who the heck lives at this house? but it was more, like I said, anything that was valuable. So all of my, chances are nobody would know, but I took all my inside tour. Right. I didn't have any easy minifigs to grab or anything. But yeah, I packed it all, and I haven't quite unpacked it yet either. And that, so will I do that? Will stuff get stuck? I don't know.
Yeah.
Then it becomes the boxes of why do I have it? It's been in the box for how many years?
Oh, I meant to ask Kim. I meant to ask you, when you went this year, did you plan like, I'm only going to buy stuff that's Lego that I can only get here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So we bought the Dabney that's over there.
Yeah.
The new set, and I got the duck, and somewhere I got some keychains, and somewhere I don't know where they went. And actually, I'll probably send you all a keychain if you want one. I know you'd love me to send the bigger sets, but
No, it's all right.
but I got, so yeah, we focused on that, and I wish I would have made more.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah,
so you can make custom ones too there.
So yeah, I made custom ones. I don't know whether I brought those back up with me.
Those are in your video.
Oh, and there's everybody who goes in gets to pick 6 bricks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is these are the Duplo ones.
Yeah. I do have that. Somebody sent me that and the regular brick ones.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't think I have my Beeland torsos up here. I'm still a little messy from coming back, but I like my new suitcase. I put a bunch of stickers on it, and I'm taking it other places.
Did you meet any people that were other than just employees of? Were there any designers or people that you might have recognized from the Lego company?
No, nobody I recognize, and I might have recognized more people because in the inside tour you do. Like I have a picture of myself with Jamie Berard because I ate dinner with him, and that was really cool. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's either really good at acting or he's really a nice guy. Like he's asking me what I like to build, and it was a conversation, like talking to you guys. He's really cool, and then that's true with a lot of the other builders. And there's a builder that was from somewhere in England close to where my wife is from, and they seem to really have fun together. And like he wrote all over one of my boxes. He was supposed to just sign it, and he drew stupid pictures on it. That's funny.
When you start looking at things Jamie designed, you see that he's probably more important to Lego's success than even they recognize. I don't know.
Did you watch his last video where he went through the
modulars? Yeah. And he designed the first one. I knew that.
The first few.
Yeah.
He was on the team.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved how he knew, like he was giving the insight, like the fan designed one too. And what the process was with that.
And then he said there was things that he designed that it didn't fit, and then later on he designed another one and he brought that. It's pretty interesting.
He said when we talked to him, he'd build he'd do like a window he thought was really cool, and he'd just leave it on his desk until sometime he thought
he'll find a place to use it.
Yeah.
So the thing about that video that I watched, because I went back and I watched it again, and maybe I missed it, but it to me felt like, or looked like he shot that at least in 1 or 2 big long shots. And to me, it felt like this was knowledge, institutional knowledge to him. This wasn't like he was reading cue cards. Or, sometimes people just have to break it up in little segments of like, what do you remember? Or in some of my videos where I'm reading it off a marker board. But it also felt like he knew what he was talking about. And I appreciated that.
Sometimes when they go there, they get put in a group or they have to design in certain themes. Can you imagine if you were having to design something, but you're not really passionate about it?
Right.
But if you were passionate about it,
right,
which he really seemed to be with these modular buildings.
Yes.
It's like you're gonna know, it's like your children almost.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You know everything about him, what's going on. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, he's just incredible. I try not to tell too many things you do in the inside tour, because if someone goes, then
it's not as
kind
special.
Of fun,
yeah.
But there's a time where you get to do some playing with bricks yourself, and you talk, and a lot of the designers are there, and that's just cool because that's what they do. And we know lots of people who are amazing creators, but my wife is a sociologist, and she studies when work. So she was just interviewing them. And I wish we would have recorded it almost. I mean, she's like, well, how did you get into this? What's your background? So, and some of them had design school in like traditional art and design, and some of them had toy design. Some of them were more like, it seemed like Jane, I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but, grew up playing with Lego and got into it that way. And it was just, I was like, we're never going to win the contest, because we were actually doing a contest and she was supposed to be doing the contest with me. We're never going to, even come close to winning if you just sit here and talk to these people. It's having fun. And so that kind of stuff is just, I always have that memory. That's the kind of stuff that's just, just like we do when we go to the shows, the stuff that we do. And
well, I kind of get the feeling that the designers have the job that we all want at Lego, right? But I think a lot of people, and there's people in the community too that work for Lego, and I think when they're either working in retail or working in the corporate machine, I think it gets lost on the fact that they're just selling a product, and those guys there are actually living the product, whereas some of the other people we still got to figure out what the daily spreadsheet's going to look like, what's profit and loss margin, who's the target audience. And so I don't think every Lego employee has that same love for them. Yeah. And it's good to hear that those guys do have that. So I think they make a better product because they have it.
Yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, if someone came to my work, kind of watched me work, and then I had to go out to dinner with like these 35 awkward people who like Lego grown-ups, and I had to entertain them, and they had to eat 3 meals with it. Like we went to we ate in the Lego house, we ate in Legoland, but they were really they interacted with us all the time and seemed to be really genuinely nice to us. And I was just, I can't help but think, and maybe it's because, I deal with a lot of students and I like a lot of my students, but I don't like all of them. But I work at being nice to them.
Yeah.
I can imagine, but they really did seem to even have fun with us.
Yeah. Well, you guys are probably you're going to be the positive fans. You're going to be your positive people. So, there are plenty of us out in the community that are not necessarily always positive, and they probably wouldn't have had as much fun.
Positive all the time.
But we weren't asking, why do you have exclusive minifigures? We were like, can you give us any exclusive minifigures?
Exactly.
It sounds like it's really an exclusive tour. So everyone there is either really wanting to be there or they're with someone who really wants to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Which probably makes it a lot better than, just your average. It probably holds a lot more to the tour, because if they did the tour every day to anybody who walked in off the street, then it wouldn't be so special.
No.
If there were 3 beers at the end of it, I would do it. That's the Coors Museum. The Coors does that.
Coors Banquet.
That's
Well, I'm glad you shared your experience with us, because it's definitely something I think a lot of us would like to be able to do.
You went to Germany. I don't believe you should have just gone over.
I'm terrible at planning trips. I think I told the story. I was 5 kilometers from Legoland, Germany, our hotel that we reserved like months in advance. And I see the signs like Legoland 5 kilometers. And I'm like, why didn't I plan to go there?
Well, it's bad when Heather will plan our trips, and then she'll tell me how many Lego stores are in between here and there, and how many are we going to hit.
That's my 50th birthday. We did a trip of the northeast part of the United States, and we flew into Boston. And on my actual birthday, we went to all 4 stores.
There you go.
Partly, I was trying to get that birthday cake, and only one had them. That was 6 years ago. One had it, but the fact that. And it's just stupid because they all have the same thing. But I was so excited to go to 4 stores in one day.
Do you have your passport? Do you get them stamped at all the stores? Yeah.
Yes.
See, that's like the keychains. It used to a lot more of the key stores had keychains for like New York or Los Angeles, and I don't think they do that as much anymore. I mean, I don't see it. I haven't been to a store that's had an exclusive keychain. Even the Disney, I don't think Disney Springs has one anymore.
Yeah, that's what I used to always ask if I went to a store that I hadn't been to. I said, "What do you have that's exclusive to your store?"
Yep.
Hopefully more of them will do the thing where you can print your own minifig, because I went to one in Amsterdam, and then I went to one in Bieland. And in both places I could print something that said Amsterdam on the Amsterdam one and Bieland on the Bieland one.
Yeah.
You've taught me that it's Beelan and not Belon.
And I think I'm relatively close to what they say when they're there. I mean, Viley is spelled, I think, Vejle, and we were calling it Vajel or Vajeli, all kinds of stuff, until we got there and realized it kind of, we learned it rhymes with like Miley Cyrus. It's Viley. We were relatively close.
Yeah.
So did you fly in or out of the airport in Milan? So did you get
Yeah.
I think it's a new one. They got two.
Yeah.
It's a different airport. There's two.
Is there
There's
two?
two. I have them both, and had I
Okay.
realized it was new, I might have picked up more. I don't remember which is. So here's one of them.
That's 16.
So if you look at how the airplanes are parked,
In the back. Okay. Yeah.
Back there.
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's okay.
Yeah. And I think the 40 and so we flew in and out this time. Last time we only flew out. Last time we took a train from Berlin to Viley and then took a taxi from Viley to Bieland. This time we flew into Amsterdam, and if you look at the pictures, you realize I'm flying first class, and I feel like I have to explain that because I don't usually fly first class. We got our tickets, and then we used upgrade miles to get first class. So we flew from Atlanta to Amsterdam first class, had the beds overnight. This was quite the vacation. And then that was Lorraine's miles. And then I used my miles to get free tickets to fly from Amsterdam to Bieland first class. There's only 4 first class tickets in that tiny plane. There was 4 of us sitting in first class who got meals and nobody else got meals. And it's only like a 90, it's probably not even a 60-minute flight. We had to eat really fast. But yeah, then you go to Bieland, and it's small. I think they don't have the years on. Oh, this is 2018. Where is it on this one? This is the older one. This is 2014. Yeah. Like I said, if I would have realized, I would have bought more.
Yeah. So original minifig, Kevin, he got me the 4,000,016 one because when he came to
Philadelphia.
Philly, I'd asked him to get me one.
The other thing different is the picture on the back. This has a picture.
Oh, okay.
That's the Lego store in the airport. And then this has a picture of the airport.
Yeah, for the airport.
And it's an international airport, but only because it's in Bieland. There's nothing. I mean, Bieland isn't very big. We didn't stick around the town much because we went to Viley. And I hear a lot of the people who work at Bieland, the Lego place, live in Viley because it's the big metropolitan town. It's not very big and not very metropolitan, but it's okay. I would go back in a heartbeat. I think we'll have to wait a few years to convince Lorraine to do it again.
So, Joey, you have on here the new trains.
Yes. So
yeah,
the new train. A lot of people in the United. I'm trying to find my notes. So a lot of people in the United States have been kind of.
They're used to seeing CSX and Norfolk Southern locomotives. They're all the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't
recognize that Europeans actually have a variety of locomotives.
And I think that engine looks. I mean, it looks dead on to the what is it? The Euro 99,000 or something. What did I call it? Yeah, the Euro 9000, which is some kind of conglomeration that they have in Europe, and it's a diesel electric hybrid, and it's very generic for Europe. So
I just hope they're using diesel and not the electric. Somebody's car is going to get smashed by the power lines.
Yeah, because they're above the you would notice that.
Well, the passenger train, if you see the previews for the new Brad Pitt movie, the passenger train looks a little bit like that train.
All right, so I haven't seen this Brad Pitt movie. What is it?
There's previews. It's what's it called? He gets on a train and he's supposed to steal this.
What country is he in?
He's in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I did find a Chinese bullet train that looks similar to it.
It's either Japan or China.
The movie's called Bullet Train.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Well, there you have it.
I was trying to look for a picture of it. I ain't gonna find one right away. But they have that looks very much like a.
And it has a long nose on the front of it.
Well, that's the other complaint I heard people say. I don't like the way the nose looks. Well, have you seen bullet trains?
Mm-hmm. They just look goofy. Yes, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Except
some of the Japanese ones even look weirder. It's like they'll have more round stub nose look.
Yeah, almost like a duckbill kind of look.
Yeah.
It just looks. I mean, it looks fine until it goes around a curve.
Yeah. And then and we have none of that in the United States. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Robin Hall had made a comment on I think on that video where he talked about how much bigger the European and other markets are than the United States.
Yeah.
So,
which is crazy because you would think that trains would be a much bigger deal to Lego if they were.
You would think
market for it over there.
And trains are big in Europe as far as a hobby. It's hard to tell in the United States because it still seems to be a hidden hobby. You don't see a lot of it out in front. You know, me and you, we see the train shows and stuff because we go to them. But
I'll tell you how they put a train show in my town that I live in. I didn't know about it. My wife said, "Hey, she's on Facebook. She said, hey, there's a train show." And I'm like, that's the Piedmont train show. What are they doing up here? I was like, I've been to it when they went to the big place down in Atlanta. It's like, so yeah, I didn't even know about it. So,
well, and then when my dad when they were doing the train show here in Evansville pre-pandemic, it was very hard. You know, they would pay for advertising on the big radio station here, and then there would be ads in the newspaper. And one of the NBC affiliate would do a thing every day at noon. It was something with Mike, and they would be on that. It wasn't like we were getting droves of people coming, just non-public. It was still trained people who knew more from word of mouth or knew that it was always going to be that same time.
Who watches the news at noon?
I know.
Yeah.
I have the same problem I'm in charge of this chamber music society, and we're like, they tell us advertise on the noon news. I'm like, yeah, who watches it? And they're like, our audience, the old people.
The old people.
And speaking of the old people, the old people are the ones that are into the trains.
Yes.
So when you go to train shows, it's old guys like me or older. And I have talked about this. Is that why is there not more stuff other than cheap stuff to appeal to children? And it's like nobody takes a Thomas the Tank Engine thing. It's like there's very little of that, or there's no hands-on things for kids to do. And it's like if you want to bring in a different audience, but maybe they don't. Maybe they just want it to be the adults, the collectors, that type of thing.
So have you seen the MRA, whatever it is, the big national train collector? They're doing now, and it's only going to be in the bigger cities where they have a bigger group of people for their local chapter, but they're doing the pizza box. So basically it's a 3x3 piece of pink styrofoam, and they build a small, usually it's an N scale or an HO scale train on that, and it is strictly for the kids.
Oh,
and they'll have all the supplies. I guess you pay a fee or whatever to get into it. And they build those small pizza box sets. And then later on, because they're all the same size, they can set them together on the tables and stuff. It's really cool.
Kids involved.
Exactly. I thought, man, that'd be great for, if they were doing Lego. I know it's MRA, they're actually doing trains, but.
Well, you know how people are particular about their Lego? Like when we go to Lego conventions, it's like only Lego.
Yeah.
The modelers, even though they modify things, it's still about being realistic.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't touch.
Yeah.
Don't touch. That's what you see everywhere. Don't touch.
So you guys go. I often wonder when you go to the shows and everybody, 4 or 5 people go together on a mock and they put it all together. When it's time to disassemble it, how do you keep up with who belongs to what?
I have seen multiple mocks just get pushed over the table because they don't know, and who is it, the kids that always do the Star Wars stuff? I think Jacob knows some of them, and they built that
Empire
one
lug or
or
something.
something like that. Yeah, they built it there. I mean, they all brought chunks and pushed it off the table into a big sheet, and it's like, what are you guys doing? But no single person brought it. So I don't know if you just like, all right, I take 10 pounds of Lego with me and you take 10 pounds. I don't know. That's, if it's a train layout, we know whose pieces are what.
Yeah. I was gonna say if they're putting together like a city together, a lot of times they either just know, or I put stickers on the bottom of mine to know what order to put them on in, just when I'm setting them up. But in that way, I would know those are mine.
Right.
Yeah, and some of the big lugs, they'll actually plan it. So they'll make a map, and you say, okay, you're getting this many base plates. This is, and some even make a picture of it, like on a piece of paper, and then they go lay everything out so they know where everything is. That's why I don't get involved, because I can't plan. I'm not good at planning.
You and Joey worked together last show I was at.
That was very complicated.
Yeah, Joey
we should do a Duplo layout.
Joey had to help open the 600 tippers that were individually wrapped.
And then I got to explain to everybody what they were.
Yeah, poor Tim, if I walk away, everybody's like, what is all this? What nut did this?
Yours? I'm like, no, it's a strange guy over there. Yeah, but I was wearing my Tipper Truck shirt, so I kind of looked.
Yeah, you set yourself up for that one.
I did.
So, or Earl should do some.
Yeah, let me get to the comments.
Joey's gonna have to go to work.
Yeah, I am.
Let me find.
And I got to work till noon tomorrow too.
Yuck.
Yeah, and then I wasn't supposed to. I was actually supposed to go in early, and I thought this isn't going to work. But then one of the other guys decided to cover, and then they texted me today and said it had all switched, and now I'm staying over till noon. I think, oh, thanks, guys. Whatever. Is what it is.
Shane Hart, man, talking about moving Lego. I was building Barracuda Bay, and the big skull flag on top went missing. So odd. It was on it when I put it in Lego City. Then it was sitting in my Lego City room looking at the ship. My eye was like, the flag is missing. I looked everywhere, every spot. I was living with my mom and pop, and thought maybe she took it with her dementia was getting bad and she was forgetting things, putting stuff in odd spots. So don't know if she found the flag and put it in some odd spot. I was angry, but oh well, I have to buy one on Bricklink.
Yeah,
I moved
Joe
house
called
and
that
still didn't
melting.
find it. Yeah.
Melting. Your Lego sets or mocks melt over time.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. So he moved and then still missing it.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Alan Jacobson, the Blue Milk Luke. Love the podcast. I've been here since episode 1. I would love to see you bring other AFoOL guests on. Well, imagine that.
we did it.
There she is.
You listen to your commenters.
Yeah.
Xavier G. Next thing on Jabo's list, organizing his minifigs. Ha ha. I love the Milo. I hope I spelled the name right. The introduction at the end. Milo doesn't need a blue milk Luke yet. It could be a nice excuse.
I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to give you a tipper truck, and I want you to tell me when he builds it. I'm going to check every day. Has he built it yet?
I don't collect minifigures yet. My wife already asked why I need so a lot of the pirate 80s, early 90s castle minifigures. Why you can never have enough. Nope. Oh yeah,
the castles are good.
The Pink Panther, loved the comic, didn't understand the movie either.
Yeah.
Who did?
Yep.
Yeah.
English humor. You gotta love it.
Well, again, you watch the Pink Panther cartoon, the movie, the Pink Panther's in the beginning, and then you're like,
It's not the
what does
same.
this have to do with the Pink Panther?
Exactly. Yeah.
Steve Bricker, just keep doing what you're doing if it ain't broke. I wish they'd release the Blue Milk Luke. Do you think there might be a farm coming? I
Was
guess
it
that's
A farm?
I guess it's a
farm.
farm to go with the kitchen.
Yeah. I saw a guy
Moisture
got
farm.
one of those puzzle gonk droids. They sent these gonk droid big puzzle. It's a
Oh yeah. Oh,
they sent them to like gamers and
Chris Ramsey got one. I watched
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey. He's a puzzle
I think
guy.
that's the one I was watching. I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah, I started watching it, and then
But it had a crammed in the middle of it was a blue milk Luke. And when you open it up, that's what you get.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
Lego sent those to the
Warner Brothers did.
Was it Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Keel Jones, we need more of you guys talking about non-relevant things for fools.
There we go.
It's what I come here for. I wish
I
we
need
could press the
encouragement.
like button twice.
Never twice, but 3 times.
3 times.
Always odd.
So, yeah, as long as it's an odd number, you can keep watching those fireworks.
That was easy. And if you're watching this long and you know what that was easy comes from,
Yeah.
leave us a comment.
That was easy.
The Drew Betts, the G-scale train track is exactly 7 studs wide. So G-scale trains could be run on 7 stud wide Lego track, as long as you only want to go straight. G-scale rolling stock is 13 to 14 stud wide, unless you model in narrow gauge G-scale. So you could make a 7 wide track with the blue tracks.
Yeah, you could.
But not the curves. It's like you'd have to come up with some modified track system where you got plates on the side or tiles or something to do curves.
It'd be tough.
Yeah.
It'd be tough.
Dude Jude, good one, guys. Why does Luke drink blue milk? Keep up the good work.
As my wife would say, it was in the script.
Yep. It probably has something to do with it wanting to stand out on camera.
Yeah.
Or some bricks. Great stuff, lads. I was disappointed that the new cargo train set does not include a blue milk tanker.
Space train.
Sadly, even in Europe, model railways are not that popular these days, with most modelers being of a certain age. We were just talking about
that's
that.
everywhere.
I am planning to try running Lego trains or on 00 gauge track and chassis to represent narrow gauge and save the need for batteries. Don't tell the Lego police.
Well, Lego actually they did that gauge in the 50s or the 60s when they had the HO scale cars. They had gauge trains running with it. Yeah.
Right.
Which is
yes.
same thing as HO basically.
Right.
I get criticized for saying HO and OO are the same thing. They're not, but they are.
One has an H.
Yeah. There's a slight is it 187th or 176? I can't ever remember which one it is.
187, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the track's the same size. It's the scale's different.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
EndTalk says, Joey, you beat me. I only saw Luke Star Wars 4 times at the video. As a 12-year-old, I could go with friends, but we had to be dropped off or we took the bus. I had T-shirts too.
We didn't worry about getting kidnapped when we were there.
Yeah,
No.
we actually had 3 movies in our town, but each one only had 2 screens.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to find out where your movie was playing at, and if it was playing at the one at the mall, we just get dropped off. It might be a 2:00 movie. They drop you off at noon.
Yeah.
Pick you up at 8:00. You just hung out at the mall all day.
Yep.
Give you a couple bucks. You ate lunch at Orange Julius.
Yeah. They had the game room. You'd run out of money and just walk
quarters, man. I was always
people play. Yeah, the good old days. T. Haynes, drop shippers. I get them on the used record side of Beats, Breaks, and Bricks. Sometimes they ask for plain packaging. I comply, but they never said not to put my sticker and business card inside. That's pretty slick. Keel Jones, Jabo, you could probably make a human-sized family area out of Lego before you get your basement cleaned out. Just messing with you.
The furniture doesn't do too well when you build furniture out
You
of
have to
Lego.
glue.
Yeah. It's not too comfortable either.
Those studs.
Yeah.
Mayo Hosco for commenting on Jabo's channel. Australia is small enough where the whole state gets to see a local TV sports match free to air. With the Australian version of Fox Sports, we get every game of the AFL and NRL live ad free. AFL is Australian rules football and NRL is rugby. I thought rugby was Australian rules football.
Australian rules football is a little different, I think.
Both
of them I don't understand.
Servio Rocco, who was Washington's punter from 11 to 13, was an AFL player, and Aaron Sippos, who is the Eagles punter, quit the AFL to play in the NFL. Michael Dickinson, the Seahawks punter, and Mitchell Wischkowski, the 49ers punter, are Australian as well. We also had a place kicker at LSU who was from Australia. Gerald Hayne was the 49ers running back in 2015, but he muffed too many punts. Pat McAfee should be the AFL ambassador for America. Maybe the NFL should outsource all 32 punters to Australia, but McAfee's not from Australia. Please talk more sports on this podcast.
I think
we covered it for the month.
We'll lose our two people that watch.
We have to wait till football season rolls around. Unless the Braves make the World Series again. Or the Cardinals. I have no clue where they are in the standings.
I'm just waiting for my train.
Ray Guy lives in Georgia. He was a punter.
Yeah.
You know, he for Detroit?
Oakland.
Yeah,
and Los Angeles Raiders.
So when I was in middle school, one of the PE teachers was like a backup punter for the Denver Broncos. So it's like when he was retired, but I never understood why he was always wearing Denver stuff. And we're in Georgia.
I hired a woman who was married to one of the Denver Broncos players to teach for us. And when she told me her husband worked there, I said, "I'm sorry, you can't work here. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and you often ruined my life." But everybody's ruined my life because I'm a Cleveland Browns player. So yes, she was a great teacher. She was lovely, and so was her husband, actually.
Shane Hart says Joey scored an octane hat. Nice.
It was messed up. So it was worn out.
Yeah.
They all are, aren't they?
I got the space
I got them two hat a few weeks back. Space one's popular, I guess. I got a Lego bag, water something, and big Lego logo on the side with yellow handle. I can take Lego shopping. It was a limited time online when you spend a certain amount. We had bad rain here, and it rained nonstop flooding. Guess he had bad weather when he was trying to watch our podcast.
These are pre-recorded.
Yes.
Will you read anything we write? Because I'm going to.
You don't tell me.
Yes. I try to make sense out of Shane.
Maybe we should filter these.
I try to make sense out of Shane because I'm like Anchorman. I'm just reading off the screen.
Now the comments are going to be.
Can't wait till this airs.
Brick System Brothers. Rebrickable has the parts inventory for the tractor, but no instructions. I was going to ask you, where did you get that from? You said you started collecting the parts, and last week we looked and couldn't find a parts list anywhere.
What for? Which thing?
The
Ferguson tractor.
The tractor.
It's where did I get the part? I had to make the parts list. It's not on Bricklink. It's on another website, and I can't remember which one it was.
But there's just a picture, right?
So I had to make the wanted list, and some of the things there's 3 or 4 parts that are never in another set.
Does anybody have them for sale?
I think one of them did, but the seat that's got a light gray seat, light bluish gray seat. I'm just gonna get one in pearl. There's like an angle piece that's in light bluish gray. They only made it in like dark bluish gray and maybe one other color. That's only in that set. And then there's another little piece that I forget what it's called. That's not in any other set, but I think most of them are hidden. Oh, and the wheels, the 2 big wheels in the back are light bluish gray, only in that set.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use pearl, I think, for those. But then I realized nobody's posted the instructions. There's on BrickSet, Eurobricks, there's somebody that took a lot of pictures as they were building it. So
that's good.
That's going to be very useful to build it.
Yep.
And I did ask, hey, y'all bricks, because he has 2 of them, because he went to the inside tour of the year, but he hadn't even opened any one of his up yet.
Oh.
He didn't build them.
It's odd that hasn't made it. It's not readily available yet.
Yeah, and I think I'm wondering if with the new stuff now, if Lego doesn't want them putting the inventories on Bricklink with those types of sets.
I think they are still crowd supported on that, putting the inventories in. I don't think they're getting it from Lego. I think it's still coming from people parting the sets out.
It sure does seem like it takes new sets a lot longer.
It does, yes.
To get
you think longer than it used to?
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be. It could be. Yeah. I don't think they're getting them from Lego right away. So I don't know that Lego's, street dating them or anything. But
okay.
I don't know that. But yeah, it definitely seems like they have to go through the process of getting them approved and all the whole deal. It's a thing on Bricklink.
So Shane Hart wants to get the monorail. He's got. I'm gonna try to make. I'm not gonna read this from word for word. He wants to get the monorail. He's got the City Lodge set and a lot of city stuff and old city sets. Brian Bricks, great show. Blue Milk, Luke, Sean Hart. Here we go again. I can't even read this one. Baseball. He wants a soccer table set. He's got a baseball. I don't know. I can't make heads or tails from that one. Sin Killer Tachikawa. I've got the solution for you. Get the label maker out and just put on the monitor. Point here for Jabo.
It still won't work. Yeah. Look, I'm like, it's the wrong way.
If a guest gets brought on, God help you.
You got to do like George. You just do the opposite of whatever you think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then you left the dead ant. Let's see.
So did we get caught up?
Yeah, we're caught up.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to go too.
Yeah, my time's running out.
So we're going to wrap this thing up, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we want to. Hey, are you an AFoOL? You've come to the right place. Thanks for watching the AFoOL podcasts. Special thanks to Kim, who's right above me today. Check out EndTalk on all the social media things. And if you really like the AFoOL podcast, leave a really long comment. And
that was easy.
In 2 weeks to read them. See you guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Kim, thank you.
Yes, that
Thanks
was
for
good.
having me.